On July 15, 2007, Arvada police officers responded to the Burger King restaurant at 64th and Ward Road on a call of a robbery with shots fired.
Arvada 911.
I just got robbed. I'm on 64th and Ward, Burger King. My cook's hurt real bad.
Hold on a second. Are you an employee there?
I'm the manager.
The restaurant itself was consistent with a robbery. The office had been ransacked. The safe was open. There was some money scattered around and different change trays scattered around. Mr. Cole was taken to the police department for an interview and initially said that two masked unknown individuals came into the restaurant through the drive-through window and pistol whipped him in the office, stole the money, and as one suspect was doing that to Mr. Cole, the other took Ms. Mesa back to the freezer where she was subsequently shot.
Later that same morning, she was pronounced dead at the hospital.
So that's what we started out with initially. It started out as a robbery and, for lack of a better term, a whodunit, no suspects.
As the first few hours of the investigation unfolded, two different people came forward with critical pieces of information.
As the officers were securing the crime scene at the Burger King, an employee from Safeway walked up and told one of the officers, I think I might know who did this. The officer directed them to the police department, and we interviewed him, debriefed this individual, and he gave us some very good detail as far as what he knew and potential suspects and why he thought that these people could be involved. That led us to another individual, and after we debriefed him and interviewed him, it turns out that he knew of a plan to rob the Burger King, and he was able to identify three individuals that he was aware of that were involved with those plans to rob the Burger King, to include how the robbery was to happen, the fact that there was supposed to be an inside man, and their escape route and where they planned to go after the robbery.
The getaway plan involved two of the suspects boarding a Greyhound bus in Denver and traveling to Florida.
And we knew the route that they were going to be taken. We checked the route, the different stops, and we decided that Savannah, Georgia would be the safest place to contact these two individuals. Because at that point, we had information 2 weapons were used in the robbery, and we'd only recovered 1. So the assumption is that we have 2 armed murder suspects on a crowded bus in Savannah, Georgia.
After coordinating with Arvada detectives, members of the Savannah Police Department staged at the bus stop in their city to await the scheduled stop of the bus. The officers were able to ID and arrest the 2 suspects as they left the bus. They were later extradited back to Arvada to stand trial.
After those 2 were taken into custody, based partly on what statements they had made in Georgia, but also we also knew Anthony Cole, the manager, had lied to us, and that he was the inside man. I brought him in for a second interview, and it was about a 4 to 5 hour interview altogether. But eventually he came around and told us what happened, why it happened, and even to the extent of the getaway driver.
In June of 2008, the trial took place in Jefferson County. Anthony Cole pled guilty, and the 3 other young men involved in the robbery and murder were found guilty by a jury. Anthony Cole was sentenced to 48 years in the Department of Corrections. Mark Sample, the driver of the getaway car, received life plus 27 years. Thomas Johns was sentenced to life plus 63 years. And Anthony Lowe, the man who murdered Celia, he was sentenced to life plus 63 years in the Department of Corrections.
As a department, the police department did a tremendous job on this thing. There was very little that these people had to work with once we put it together. The second thing is don't do it in Arvada. If you got, if you're considering doing some sort of a crime or in Arvada, you just don't do it.
Although members of the Arvada Police Department and the DA's office worked countless hours preparing for the case, the victim was always the focus.
Anytime we have a major case like this, one of the first things we do is we find talk with the family, the victim family, and we'll get a photograph or something of the victim, a good photo of the victim. And that's always in the front of the casebook, but it's also in the front of every casebook at the DA's office too. So it's one of those ways. It seems kind of small, but it's one of those ways of reminding everybody that this is not just a case. It's not just a docket number, a bunch of paperwork. There's actually somebody that was involved in this thing.